My name is Dixon. Vimalajeewa. I'm a postdoctoral researcher in the Department of Statistics at SSN University. And thanks a lot for inviting me over here and also attending the talk. And today my talk is going to be advanced machine learning technique that I propose for processing complex data sets.
Do you think it's coming from your computer or it's coming from the other one?
Not sure. Maybe I can use mine.
Okay. Hello.
No, it's okay. It's fine now, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it says you are talking. So.
Okay.
The people in Zoom can hear you. Do the people
Can or cannot? They don't.
I don't know.
They should be.
Yes, we can hear you.
There's no chat.
Well,
Do you know any people?
let's maybe, yeah, there are 8 participants.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, there's
Oh, great. Okay.
Thank you.
Somebody confirmed. Okay,
Okay,
great.
On we go. So overall, this presentation is not going to be a technical presentation. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to share some of the technique that I have proposed for a couple of different applications. So in this, so my overall outline is like, I'll give a brief introduction about my research interest and then my research background and experience related to processing complex data structures. And I'll briefly explain what is my future research and teaching interests, how it aligns with the requirements and also the mission of the university, and then finally I summarize the presentation. So as my research interest or introduction, as you all know, the advancement of like modern technologies such as Internet of Things, Internet of Nano-Things, and information and communication technologies enable collecting a massive data point even from location where we could not even reach before, for example, human body monitoring like cell functionality. So at the same time, the full potential of the collected such massive data is significantly underutilized due to lack of effective data processing tools. So as a result, like effective machine learning, like the effective data process, the need of effective data processing techniques have been increased to improve the use of such data and extract valuable insight, to make like effective decisions. So given this background, my primary research interest is developing effective data analytic framework by bringing knowledge from different subject areas, mainly mathematics, statistics, and computer science. Particularly, my current research interest is in the intersection of different data science discipline, mainly wavelets, fractality, multifractality, and statistical signal and image processing and statistical inferences multi-scale domain. That is currently my main research interest and related to processing complex data sets. So given my research interest, my research background and experience could be explained in 3 different themes: simplifying complex data structures, distributed data processing, and mathematical modeling. Most of the scientific questions that I have addressed under these 3 research themes coming from precision agriculture, healthcare, and biomedical engineering. So now I'm going to briefly explain some of the projects or some of the work that I've done under these 3 research themes. The first one is simplifying complex data structures. The main target is make it easy to explore hidden dynamics in complex data structures. That's the main idea. So why do we need to explore complex data structures? Is that, or maybe why do we really need advanced tools? Because when we consider complex data sets, most of the common statistical measures fail explaining underlying dynamics because we can't really see much, especially when we consider high frequency data. So data complexity and resource constraints are also some of the significant challenges when we want to analyze such data. Therefore, as a result, we need some effective data processing technique in order to extract valuable insights from the data. So in this theme, I am particularly interested in working high frequency data, in the sense that the data sampling rate it should be at least more than 100 hertz. So that is how we consider. If it is below that, then the kind of signals are kind of smooth, and we can simply deal with all the simple statistical techniques can help in explaining the data. So in this domain, we are analyzing multi-scale properties, especially in high frequency data, to characterize underlying dynamics. So basically, that's the main theme. Utilize multi-scale properties in such data to extract valuable insight.
So can you
Yeah.
explain why is high frequency data more difficult than the low frequency data?
So, very good question. Why it is difficult is that when we look at the data in the data acquisition domain, for example, as the time domain, the data doesn't really tell anything. If, for example, if you want to see whether there's any trend or any specific variance, we can't really understand that in the actual data domain. We can't really see what is going on. So that is why, for example, let's say we calculate the mean and variance, and we want to compare the mean and variance, so let's say simply mean between like healthy group and non-healthy group, sick group. We don't really see much big difference. That is why we need some advanced technique to explain what is going on the behind the data, because the data changes rapidly, and so that is the one of the reason why we can't really apply this standard technique to explain the data.
So let's say you have the signal, if it is, let's say the signal itself is same shape but lower frequency, you sample it over 10 seconds, or now you have higher frequency data, but it's 10 times higher frequency, but it is compassing to 1 second. Technically, these two are same problem if you discrete it, if you treat it as a vector.
Yeah.
And so I guess it is not very clear to me how different between these two cases. Low frequency data sampled over a long time and the high frequency data in a short time. Is high frequency data in short time actually more difficult than low frequency data over longer time?
I think high frequency data in the short term would be more difficult than low frequency data in the long run, because we can simply discretize or maybe subsample and easily analyze, apply the standard technique, because we can kind of see what is going on. But if it is high frequency data in a very short period of time, the regularity is like pretty hard, pretty small. I mean, irregularities is.
Can you give us an example of what kind of data?
Oh yeah, I'm going to explain in the coming slides some of the example. What does it mean by high frequency, and how this could be how we can quantify these signals.
All right, go ahead.
So this is a kind of like, if you consider this high frequency data, like for example, coming from economic biology, they are highly irregular. That is the case. They're highly irregular. They change like rapidly. And one of the most interesting, these, although they are highly irregular, we can't really see what is going on behind, but they have some specific property, like the specific property, but we can't really see them in the actual data acquisition domain, for example, time domain. One of the properties is self-similarity, which is very famous property that we use in multi-scale domain. For example, the self-similarity, long memory, scaling behavior, some of the other features, which are common features in high-frequency data, but we don't really see them in actual data acquisition domain. For example, this is a kind of like this is the illustrative example. It is not coming from a specific example, just to explain the concept. So this is, imagine this is in addition, high frequency data, like these features, the self-similarity, long memory, like scaling behaviors, are some of the common features. And these features can be explained by exploring fractal properties in high frequency data. What does it mean by fractality? Let's say that fractality can be in two forms, monofractal and multifractal. For example, this is trying to explain what is monofractality. When you get a signal and when we explore the signal in different resolutions, we can see that the signal behavior is pretty much the same. But we don't really see anything here, but this is just showing in different scales. We can see that if the signal behavior is pretty much the same, which means that some statistical properties do not change over time. So when we calculate this, we apply so we can't really see this in the actual domain, but we convert into frequency domain by applying wavelet transform. And then when we calculate the wavelet energy at different resolution, we can see that the energy decays linearly across different scales. So this is called monofractal behavior or self-similarity. Actually, what does it mean by is that the signal is formed by repeating a specific behavior. So this can, the rate of this, these are the actual values, and then simply we can fit a linear regression line and we can calculate the rate of this energy decay. So this rate of this energy decay quantifies the irregularity of the signal. So basically there's a well-known measure called Hurst exponent. When we calculate the slope, the Hurst exponent is calculated by using this formula, and it is the value between 0 and 1. And if h equal to 0.5 is a random walk, this is theoretically it is 0.5. If for a given signal, if you calculate h value, it is below 0.5, the signal is highly irregular. If it is greater than 0.5, it's like close to 1 means like the signal is pretty smooth. So this property cannot be seen here, but in the frequency domain we can see this property. This is called monofractality, but in reality, the signals are not this simple. Signals of any natural processes are formed by repeating several behaviors. For example, if you see here, these are a set of images that I collected from the internet. This is a tree, like it's branch in V shapes, and this is the leaves, and these are some other like plants. So most of the natural processes are formed by repeating not single behavior, set of behaviors. And we can't really see how it is formed, but when we explore, these are called like more multifractal behaviors, multifractality. And when we calculate the multifractal spectra, so this is in the wavelet domain, we can extract some of the features. For example, this is called, I think you can read it, broadness. So the broadness tells the deviation, how much it deviates from the monofractal behavior, which means that how complex signal is. So this broadness, for example, this broadness or this slope or the Hurst exponent tells some very significant, like very important information about the signal behavior, and then this information are very useful, for example, for detecting different diseases, whether someone has disease or not. And yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, I would like to encourage you to don't do the introduction kind of stuff. A lot of us know this stuff. And try to focus on your contribution.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So that is just to give a context. Now I'm gonna share some of
the assumption that everybody in the room has the context.
Okay. So that's like multifractal and monofractal and multifractal properties. In this context, I use mostly this, quantify this property and apply it to different data sets. For example, this is one of the studies that we recently completed. We wanted to propose a specific some set of features to identify whether someone has ADHD or not. So what we did is that we have a data set like pupil diameter data. The data was collected like 400 kilohertz frequency. So they measured the frequency in a computer-based experiment, and they just wanted to see whether someone has ADHD or not. What we simply did is that we calculated the self-similarity, or simply calculated Hurst exponent, which quantifies how regular the pupil diameter or not. So when we calculate the Hurst exponent, quantify the regularity, this is the distribution that we just, for example, just illustrated. You can see the regularity changes. There's a significant difference between the regularity between those who have ADHD and the normal people. So here, the red one is cases, and the dash blue control. We can see those who have ADHD have higher irregularity, which means that their pupil diameter changes rapidly. So this is a kind of feature that we propose to identify whether someone has ADHD or not. The significant contribution is that most of the existing techniques are based on like survey data or observational data. They fill the question and then decide. But they were looking for more objective measures or measures which can be used to automate the ADHD detection procedure. So
in this one, that I think the good example. So this pupil data was acquired by what sensor, like a camera or some other sensor or something?
I think they have like a visual spatial, like a specific machine. So yeah, they were like the kids were involved in a computer-based experiment. They were like they show like a range of images,
Yeah,
and then suddenly they show a distractive image,
okay,
and they were asked to, including one of the images was shown before, and they were asked to give the feedback whether you saw this image. or
okay,
not.
that's fine. So people their diameter with respect to time. because
Yeah,
the
yeah,
signal
over time.
Hours changing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So you took that,
Mhm.
then you apply this wavelet transform.
Yeah.
And from wavelet transform, you computed this Hertz. thing.
perfect format, yeah,
And that's a distribution of that, like that.
yeah, here, yeah, yeah.
I see.
So
Mhm.
for, in general, like, we can calculate the Hertz exponent for entire signal, then
Yeah.
it just give one single measurement to show the regularity.
Mhm.
But we can subdivide the signal and then also calculate the Hertz exponent for different windows. It gives like localized regularity. So why we needed that one, because in the beginning, everyone is the same in the experiment, and
Yeah.
then over the time, they get distracted, those who are ADHD. That is why we decided to.
So you apply this on a benchmark data set.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And how do you compare, like, how much improvement?
Oh, yeah, yeah. This is the data set. This is a kind of pretty new data set, like it was published in 2019.
Mhm.
The existing studies have used like all the standard statistical measures, mean, variance, and there's a called feature engineering. I'm sorry that we can't.
We can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is feature engineering?
Feature engineering, that they simply calculate mean, variance, curtices, and like peak value, minimum value, those kind of all the standard measures. And they derived like 22 features,
Mhm.
and then try to.
Yeah. So how do you compare? Like, I
Yeah.
cannot see, but how much improvement?
Oh, yeah, so their method was around 76, if I remember correctly, that's 67 accuracy
Yeah.
with 22 features. Our method, I think we got like 74% accuracy, 78.56 accuracy with 8 features.
Yeah, so I mean, you can put this on separate slides, right? People
Yeah.
can see this.
Yeah, sorry about
So you
that.
have a 10% improvement.
Yeah, 10%
Okay.
improvement with 8 features. Yeah.
Good.
All of this information is basically time series data.
Data, yeah. And in this study, there were other features as well. Age has a significant impact,
Yeah.
and also their response accuracy was highly correlated with their age. The kids have like a lesser response accuracy and also response time. We also explored those features and also the impact of specific medicine that is used to treat ADHD. We
So
also
this Nature Scientific is pretty
Yeah.
prestigious.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Because the data set was also published in Nature Scientific Report, so we decided to publish all it there because.
So you emphasize the 8 feature thing. So does
Yeah.
it make a difference if you have more or less? Like, have you looked at that?
We that optimal is 8, because even if you increase further, there's no much improvement.
So what are those 8 features?
So like here we calculate the regularity for windows, and then from those windows, for each window we have unique value, and then so from that we just select the most significant H values.
So you look at.
And then
windows.
you use linear regression.
But yeah, logistic regression, SVM and KNN. Yeah, because our main intention was to show the discriminatory power of this regularity as
So
a
it's a
feature.
binary classification,
Yeah.
ADHD or not.
Yeah, ADHD. And in addition, this is what you can see here, but in the paper, we explored other impact of other feature, age, their response accuracy, response time, gender, and also impact of specific
So there's
medicine.
the Hertz thing, so that's known, but
Yeah,
what you did, then you took that, applied, solved the
Yeah.
problem.
yeah.
Okay, that's.
So-
good, yeah.
And this is based on the monofractal behaviors, because we subdivided the signal into subdivided and then calculated H value for local H value, and then utilize it as a discriminatory feature to detect whether someone has ADHD or not. But this is the recent study that we applied this. We explored more multifractal properties to detect murmurous heart sound. So because you know that they listen to the heart sound, and it is sometimes difficult to detect whether someone has murmur or not. But so most of the existing studies, they have, this is again related to a data like competition. So what they have done, they have proposed like all deep learning techniques to analyze this data. And what we did, we just simply applied the calculated multifractal properties. For example, this is the heart sound signal. for normal heart person, like person means murmurous heart sound, and there are some normal heart sounds.
So this sound, I can get from Apple Watch or something? What is this?
So they simply measured the heart sound by using, I forgot the technology, the data set was already published
Okay,
related to,
so it's again time series.
yeah, it is again a time series.
Now, in this one, why did you need to use the multi-factor or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
multifractality,
Yeah.
because when we compare this monofractality, it was not significantly different. Because we couldn't really see much big difference, and when applied the classification and considering all the monofractal properties didn't really contribute to to improving the accuracy.
So maybe there's a scientific reason for that. It could be that in the pupil dilatation, there's one muscle controlling it, so that muscle has some fractal behavior. In the heart, it will have multiple muscles, and so the multiple might need.
It could be, or like, it could be, but we do not, because we did not have like, such information available with the data. So it could be, but I think we really need some domain expert to explain that behavior. But here, basically what we did was simply calculate the multifractal properties, like these are two, like just to show how the multifractal spectra look like. And then most interesting thing that we did, what we realized is that, so these are the existing studies, 111 features, 233 features, 42 features, and our model was simply 8 features, and get the comparable performance to all deep learning model that are being
So
proposed.
how much difference between deep learning and yours?
The accuracy,
Yeah.
there is no accuracy improvement, but comparable performance with very
Same
simple model.
accuracy.
Yeah.
But so deep learning, how many features are they using?
Here in this one, 111,
And you are using how many?
8.
8.
Yeah, so that is the power of considering the importance of.
And these features, like you were telling me over breakfast, these are more explainable or something?
Explainable, yeah.
And what's explainable?
Yeah, for example, when we consider this value, as I explained, the broadness, the deviation from the monofractality. Monofractal means one specific behavior repeats, the signal is formed by repeating one specific property. Multifractality is much more complex. There are several features that are being repeated when it's forming a signal.
Was saying there must
Maybe different physical
Could
concepts.
be, yeah.
Mhm.
And so that is which means that those who have murmur, like if you found a murmurous heart signal, which means that they are like mix of different sounds. It could be explained, their heart sound is much more complicated than normal person heart sound. So that is a kind of interpretation that we can, based on the information associated with the data, that is the information that we could give. And as he mentioned, it could be also associated with the different muscles and also other features as well, because if someone has like cardiovascular disease, then it could also be associated with other features as well. For example,
But what age groups were you considering? Do you know?
I have the data, but I forgot, like there are like a range of demographic features, age, gender, and their like underlying health condition, and also the loudness of the sound. Like we did not really integrated all the demographic other like features, but we simply wanted to show the significance of considering multifractal features in detecting heart murmurs. So the main contribution is that multifractal features have higher discriminatory power compared to most of the existing features that are all that are proposed so far, and also our method achieves a comparable performance to those who won the prize.
This one, like, so, you take these samples, and so at the end you have a classifier?
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Do you have to state what the n is for the multipleness? Like you have to say n equals 3 fractals or fractals, or you have to state?
We can't really say how many features were like how many behaviors were repeated.
But how does it know how to?
So this value tells that the deviation from multifractality, if it is small, then it is like pretty normal signal. It is not that complicated. But if it is far bigger value, which means that it is like kind of sounds like a complicated signal, then we go to the why it is sound like complicated.
So my question is it just strictly mono or multi, or is it multi has many?
And also there's a in between multifractional.
Yeah.
So mono means there's only one single
Yeah.
behavior. Multifractal is pretty
Spectrum.
complicated, and then in between multifractional. So it the fractality, the behaviors could be varied over time.
Okay.
Yeah, there are like basically three behaviors.
So in this plot, what's the x-axis, what's y-axis?
This one.
Yeah.
Here, this is the as I in the previous slide. This is the when we calculate the multifractality, we consider the singularity of the signal at each data point. So this is the local singularity and the frequency of that singularity. Yeah. The theory behind this multifractality is kind of complicated, but we did not really contribute to the theoretical part. We simply use the technique and show the significance of considering multifractal properties. But right now, as I mentioned in the morning, we are considering like conducting some methodological research.
Who are the guys who are doing the theoretical part? Are they mathematicians or statisticians?
They are like mathematicians. Yeah, yeah. These techniques have been there for like years. And
Yeah. When I was graduating PhD, I agree.
Yeah. But this is they haven't really been used in this kind of interesting applications. And this is another interesting application. This is the grant proposal that we are working on. So this data is coming from the aim is to explore the evolution of brain. So we have like one fish type. This fish is living in like South Texas in rivers, and the same fish population is being living in caves in dark environment. So what happened? They lost their eyes. They adapted to dark environment, so they lost their eyes. But the same fish population, so this one evolved over time and lost their eyes. But what we wanted to explore is that we wanted to propose some statistical techniques in order to explain the evolution of their brain. So evolutionary biology is one of the interesting topics. This idea also came from biology department. We are collaborating with the Department of Biology. They have the lab. They collected the data. They have the fish in their lab. And what we are doing is that we are exploring how we can explain the change in their brain functionality, because they are the same fish.
So what data you collect?
So here they have monitored their brain function, like neuronal functionality. So if I remember, they're using fluorescent light, and then they give the external stimulus to both fish on the same condition, and then monitor the neuronal functionality. If you can see, this is snapshot for these two fish populations. So we have three populations actually. Surface is the normal fish. Molino, in between the evolution, and Pechol has been completely evolved. So when we calculated for example, in this graph, broadness, it is again telling the deviation from monofractality. You can see that the broadness is much higher for Pechol, completely evolved fish, compared to the Molino. Molino is in between, and the surface is lower, which means that the brain function, the complexity of the brain functionality is much higher for complete evolved fish compared to the normal fish. And we also considered, although the experiment was conducted under similar experimental condition, we computed the noise level in the data. When we calculate the monofractal spectra, we could see that the amount of noise is much higher for the eyeless fish, we simply call eyeless fish, compared to the normal fish. This suggests that according to these biologists, the internal brain functionality adds some noise into the functionality in order to amplify the signal. So these are kind of two interesting properties that we found out from our study, and we are proposing multifractal properties could be utilized in order to explain their complex behavior, how they respond to external stimulus, and how they find food from pictures. But this is still an ongoing work, and this is going to be like in preparation of a grant proposal. Yeah, very interesting study. The data set we just collected the data set a couple of months ago. Yeah. So these are some of the technique that we are basically exploring multifractal value of multifractal features to explain complex dynamics in in high frequency data. The second theme is distributed data processing. Although we have this fancy effective data processing technique, sometimes we have to process data collectively. So this is the idea is develop analytic framework for making timely and accurate decision. So we can't, if we can collect data into a central location, then we can apply this technique, like effective data processing technique, and then get the knowledge extracted. But sometimes it's not possible because there are some challenges. For example, data privacy, ownership, and security are kind of pretty challenging, especially in the healthcare domain. We have to be careful, and also therefore, like most of the data is locked in private repositories. But I found out these challenges when I was doing my PhD back in Ireland. The application was related to farming, because farmers were not really happy to share their data at all, because they didn't really know what the value that they get in return. So they really wanted to have some data analytic platform which saves their privacy, protect the privacy, at the same time they can utilize their data and get some rewards. So that's the idea. And also the existing data tech platform, the transparency and traceability and security are kind of other challenges, because the system can produce some knowledge, but what is the value, what is the guarantee of the accuracy of those knowledge? So that is also another challenge, especially related to precision farming. So in order to overcome such challenges, I propose a couple of distributed data processing platforms. I did this two studies during my PhD. This is a federated learning approach. We propose a partial least square regression connected with a neural network. As a machine learning model, as you all know, the federated learning allows to train one single machine learning model across distributed data sources, and then aggregate, instead of sending data, send the model updates, aggregate the model updates, and then the global model is sent back to each contributor to make their own decision. Why it is important is that it is like the global model is much more stable compared to local model, and in terms of variability, like uncertainty. So they get to access all the model, global model, and then make their own prediction. This system was validated by using milk quality data analysis in the agri-farm domain. Farmers have milk quality data, especially dairy farm. That's the milk is the main production, and they know by using milk quality they can extract, like they can explain the entire farming procedure, the animal health status, their feeding strategy, quality of milk, fat level. So there are the range of information that could be derived. So we validated this method by using milk quality, MIRS milk quality data collected at different farms. And so the advantage of this kind of approach is that they don't have to share their data, but they can access the model update by contributing to the global model updating procedure. So they can do they can train the model in real-time manner and make their own decision. And however, there are some challenges as well, because any functional failure, any misbehavior of the coordinated unit could negatively impact the accuracy of the system. And also, if one unit is contributing more, which means that the model become biased towards that unit. In that case, the accuracy or validity of the model, the decision is
So
not valid.
this one in this, so is a good domain, right? Where we need this federated learning.
Yeah.
Now, did you develop new algorithm for federated learning? What is your contribution?
My main contribution is to come up with this partial square regression combined with the neural network, this machine learning model.
So can you say a little more, like what does it do? Yeah.
So especially in milk quality analysis, partial square regression is a pretty famous technique, machine learning model that everyone uses in agri domain. So one of the challenges is that how many features could be utilized in order to bring this to improve the accuracy of the milk quality prediction. They were looking for how we can improve the accuracy of the partial square regression model. Then what we did, we combined, of course, we know that if we can bring something like neural network based approach, we can boost the accuracy. So, but if you want to bring up neural network, what is the optimal structure? Like how many input features should be there? Because milk quality data, in minus milk quality data, there are more than 1,000 parameters. So they wanted to have more simple model in order to improve the effectiveness of the milk quality analysis procedure. So what we did, we utilized the partial square regression model as a technique to decide what is the optimal feature, what is the optimal input parameters should be utilized to train a neural network. So that
So
is
number of features.
Yeah.
which you put
into the neural network.
but if you put all the features, then neural network doesn't work. or
It
what?
does work, but what they wanted to do is that given the resource concerning resources, especially in agri domain, they wanted to have much more simple or effective model. Resource constraint is one of the critical challenges, especially in agri domain, because rural farms do not have sufficient internet connection and computing power in order to process the data. What they wanted to, okay, you can come up with any effective machine learning model. At the same time, the model should also be kind of simple. It should be able to run on their like limited resources. Yeah.
Can you give us, like, what are those features?
Yeah, what is the
You
1,000
said
features and
features.
how do you
What
cut
are
it down?
Also, especially if you consider MIR mean quality data, again the wave numbers with respect to different molecular bonds. So, like milk is formed by a set of protein. There are a lot of molecules, and when they send the milk sample through the MIR spectra, so the light penetrates through the milk sample, and depending on the different molecular
So these are
bonds,
chemical properties.
yeah,
Different
and
chemical
So,
properties.
so,
All
let me understand this. So you send the milk through
So machine.
Machine, yeah.
through an
MIR spectra.
MIR spectra.
yeah.
Do the farms have those machines? So
They have, because they have the milking robot. So a cow automatically goes to a milking station and they milk to do the milking. At the same time, the
So
machine,
you get 1,000 features out.
yeah, 1,000 features,
Which is 1,000
more than 1,000.
both big point numbers. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so why do we have to reduce the number of features?
because not all the features are significant, because some molecular bonds are corresponding to water. We don't really want to rely on the water, because if we are considering specifically milk quality, they're concerned about the fat level, protein level, lactose, and lactose mostly. For different cases,
Yeah, but
they
that kind of, you can leave that one to the classifier to figure that one out.
yeah, but we do not know in the
I'm trying to understand that the farm which has milking robots and spectral analysis
Yeah.
cannot send 1,000 packet of 1,000 floating point numbers over to other place to be classified.
It is not a basically classification, because like the amount of build quality data they collect is massive. And for example, if they're really concerned about the build quality, they have, okay, I agree with you. This is a couple of like features that they need to
So this is
utilize.
still a time series problem, is that right?
Kind of, yeah,
Meaning you're getting regular samples,
regular sample.
and so that's the problem. You're saying 1,000 regular samples.
So repeatedly, each cow goes to the milking station at least 3 times a day. So every time they get the milk quality, the MIR spectra. So that is where they get the challenge, because analyzing maybe like 1 month milk quality is not good enough to give some overall idea. And also if there's any issue related to animal health or the stress level, especially in the summer, the heat is one of the critical challenges that affect the milk quality. And also especially in the winter, they are like in-house. The mobility is very limited. That also affects. So for that, they have to collect milk quality data for more than like, sometimes they collect data for years and then analyze the data. So that's the one of the challenges that they have. Yeah.
So what neural network did you use? What was the architecture of neural network?
It was very simple, like with 3 or 4 layers, a very simple neural network. Yeah. Because although given the sample, like the data was kind of pretty complicated, I was limited to, I did only the protein, lactose, and protein, lactose. I forgot the other 3. Only I consider only 3 features, because there are other features which were related to milk color, and also there are like health conditions, and there are many different other features.
So 3 features go into the neural network.
Not 3 features, because in the milk quality sample, it's a kind of labeled data set. We know how much protein content is there. So we simply wanted to predict how our model could predict the milk, the protein level, lactose level, and also ammonia. It's a simple.
I'm trying to understand what goes in the neural network and what comes out.
It comes out. Sorry. The neural network is like, as I mentioned in MIR spectra, we have all the wave numbers. related to the presence of different molecular bonds. The molecular bonds represent a specific protein. So they can simply check whether this is related to protein or this is related to ammonia or lactose, something like that. So what we wanted to, what we fed to the neural network by using partial regression is that those are the most specific features from the MI
So from 1,000, you shrank it down to how many?
If I remember correctly, it was around 80. 80 features, I guess.
So 80 chemical features
Yeah,
went in.
yeah.
Okay.
If I remember
And
correctly.
then the 3 coming out was those 3 properties.
Yeah, lactose, protein, and yeah, those are the fat level.
What you wanted to know. what
Yeah.
you wanted to know.
But this we considered on
Regression or?
it's kind of a simple regression, a prediction. But it is prediction was we could simply use the normal regression, but the accuracy was kind of low. That is why we couldn't really get a good accuracy. That is the reason why we wanted to why they wanted to have a kind of like a advanced model in order to improve the milk quality prediction accuracy.
So like the PCA and the partial least squares, they are pretty much try to reduce dimensions.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
usually people do PCA and then do classification,
Mhm.
or they do PLS and then do classification. So here you use both like that.
Yeah, this is a PLS is just a combination of the linear regression and PCA. That is how it is. The algorithm is designed.
Yeah.
So that is why this is a good approach to find out what is the optimal set of features that could be utilized. Even in general, people by using only PLS, we can do the milk quality prediction. But the neural network contributes to improving the accuracy. Yeah, that's the idea. Right. Otherwise, even like if you read more like milk quality prediction, like milk quality analysis studies, mostly in the dairy domain, they utilize PLS is one of the pretty like common algorithms that they come up with. But what my contribution is bring up the neural network and then introduce this federated learning approach to the agri domain in order to improve the accuracy at the same time, train this model in a distributed manner in order to make real-time decisions. Yeah, that's my main contribution to that domain. Yeah, because our idea is to introduce all these advanced machine learning and AI technique to the smart dairy farming, dairy industry.
Yeah, maybe you keep going, as you have only 15 minutes left.
Okay, so this is the blockchain. So given all the challenges because still this is relying on the central coordination unit. So nowadays they are also looking for how we can make the data analytic platform fully distributed without relying on any intermediate unit. For example, especially in healthcare and finance, this is much more important. So what we propose, blockchain-based fully distributed data processing platform and validated for detecting chemical level in agri-farmland. So this is we propose the main contribution is that we propose a novel technique. So we have the nano sensor which monitors the chemical level in the soil at molecular level, and then we propose a machine learning model combining non-linear molecular binding model and Bayesian theory, which can accurately calculate the chemical level, not only based on the current information, but also the previous chemical usage as well. Because when you monitor the chemical usage, previous chemical usage could also impact the current level. So that is why we propose this as a machine learning model and then ran it as a smart contract in the blockchain network and to automatically calculate the chemical level, chemical usage in agri farmland. And the blockchain is used to distribute or share the data more transparently and securely across the food supply chain. Then the stakeholders can easily see like what is their chemical usage. Based on that, they can simply decide the quality of the food that they produce. If they are using too much chemical, which is not sustainable, at the same time not healthy. And also we introduced a credit model which rewards for being compliant with the chemical standards. So that is also because farmers, otherwise we have to motivate the users. Otherwise they don't really try to comply with the standards. So we also introduced a chemical crediting model which reward for being compliant with the standards. Otherwise they are being penalized. And also exploring the chemical the credit level also indicate the quality of the food that they produce. So that is the kind of system we propose to as a kind of concept which tells the advantage of having fully distributed platform for processing data in the agri domain. So these are two kind of concepts that I propose for distributed data processing. And the interesting thing is that I was able to extend these two ideas to two grant proposals. This is the Food 2030, it's a 12 million project grant funded from the European Union. So my contribution was to I simply extended my federated learning-based approach in order to optimize the food supply chain, how we can optimally process the food production and distribution operations in the food supply chain. So this is what the extension of federated learning approach, and the second one is an extension of the blockchain model. This is also funded from the European Union, and I collaborated with this project with the Iowa State University when I was in Ireland, and we proposed a blockchain-based knowledge sharing platform for carbon neutralized agriculture. The idea behind is that so people have knowledge, but they don't want to share without knowing what they get in return. And also at the same time, they don't really, people don't want to implement all these sustainable operation if they are not be recognized. So at the same time, if they implement all those techniques, they should be rewarded. And if I have knowledge, if I'm implementing, I have knowledge. If I share my knowledge with others, I should also be recognized and rewarded. So that is the idea. I have knowledge, but the knowledge should be shared with others. At the same time, they should be recognized as well. So we introduce a knowledge sharing platform. At the same time, for sharing knowledge, they are being rewarded. Similar idea extended to a grant proposal, and it was a very interesting project that I did with Iowa State University. So that's all kind of two ideas that I proposed for distributed data processing. And then I'm also kind of started working a couple of years ago, mathematical modeling for personalizing a decision. So distributed data processing and all that analytic tools can just derive inside, but sometimes we have to be context aware and then tailor our decision based on specific needs and reasons. For that, we need to have sometimes the kind of generalized model which can easily, which are flexible to explain different real world scenarios. So because if we have such models, we can simply improve the capacity to reason, interpret real world scenarios, apply rules, dynamically take various issues. For example, one of the models that I had proposed, this is related to computation and biology. This is also, I started working on this during the pandemic. We proposed a mathematical model to characterize the entire respiratory system, and then to explain the distribution of viral infection along the respiratory tract, and then how this viral concentration varies with respect to personal parameters, for example, age, gender, and also our different habits. For example, how it varies with respect to our immune response, consumption of alcohol, smoking. So the idea, this is also collaboration with one of the virologists in University College Dublin and Food and Agriculture Institute in Ireland as well. So this is a combination of ideas coming from applied mathematics, communication theory, and also virology.
So this was also published Nature.
Yeah, Nature Scientific reports, yeah, and validated by using real COVID data that we got from one of the hospitals in Germany. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can try to summarize because we
Yeah.
only
Okay.
7 minutes left.
This is an extension of this study in order to show the flexibility of having this kind of general mathematical model. We extended this model to explain the digestive system, how we can what happens when we consume food and it goes to the stomach and then through the intestine goes to the blood. All these the nutrients are absorbed. How we can make the decision like inside personalized, how we can optimize our food consumption based on different health parameters like age, gender, daily activity level, and underlying health conditions. So this is the kind of idea related to developing digital twin for the digestive system. So this is a simple extension of this model to model the entire digestive system and into absorption of nutrient into the blood. and how this process could be personalized with respect to different personalized parameters. Yeah, that's the kind of another mathematical model that I have published so far. Currently, we are also developing some mathematical model, but these are all published work. And this is I'm also involved in like kind of another grant proposal related to this topic. We are exploring urinary sodium level, how we can utilize new urinary sodium level to understand the obesity and hypertension of people who live in food insecure environment. Because these are all we are exploring enhances public survey data, but urinary sodium level is not available publicly. This is very highly restricted data, and nobody has utilized urinary sodium level in order to tell whether someone was in any food insecure environment. This is very important for healthcare professionals. Instead of doing all this survey data, just measuring the urinary sodium level, they can easily interpret what is going on, how was his like eating habits, and what is the reason for his underlying health conditions. So yeah, that's kind of like these three research directions, and these are some of the research collaboration that I have. I'm also collaborating with undergraduate, graduate, and faculty and external faculty. Some of these, all these studies, especially external collaborations, are involved in developing methodological research, because we've done a lot of applied work now. For example, especially this one, this gamma minimax is also we are using Bayesian theory in order to optimally denoise signals, complex signals, and this is peak detection and high frequency signals. Application to gate dynamic analysis. This is also another methodological study that we are doing, and also we have published this work. It's a collaboration between Morphic Cancer Center. These are some of the external, internal collaboration that I'm involved in right now. Yeah, they are mostly methodological work that are.
The Moffitt here in Tampa. Where's the Moffitt Cancer Center?
Texas.
Texas, Houston.
I think it's in Houston. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the overall summary of my studies. I basically present several data processing techniques which has some interpretability, and also at the same time those features contribute to reducing the model complexity, and also contribute to improving the model performances. So they have like some advantages, flexibility, and also can explore privately stored data, interpretable and theoretically sound and simple machine learning models. So that's some of the advantages of the technique that I have proposed so far. Yeah. Okay, considering my future research direction, I'm kind of want to expand my distributed data processing, especially for resource constrained environment like precision agriculture and high frequency data analysis. In terms of high frequency data analysis, most of my, as you see, they're all univariate data. So I'm exploring how this technique could be extended to high dimensional data, for example, images. They are already working on those techniques. Stochastic resonance is one of the interesting techniques that I'm kind of interested in, because always we remove the noise in the data, but how noise could be utilized as a valuable component in order to how we can utilize noise as a valuable component. So for example, sometimes this is especially utilized in weak signal detection, because we can boost the signal performance by adding some noise into the data. This is especially used in image processing and weak signal detection, mainly in healthcare domain. We have sensors, but sometimes sensor cannot detect specific behaviors because it has a threshold. But by using stochastic resonance, we can easily identify such hidden behaviors. So this is some of the teaching experience in addition to, because I'm sharing some of the research ideas. It's a very good chance for me to improve my teaching as well. So these are my teaching experience. I'm teaching statistical data science with Python for graduate students, and also some basic mathematics and statistics courses for undergraduate students as well. So my teaching interest is to develop or deliver courses which has balance between theory and practice. That's my kind of interest in teaching. So overall, my research is going to be like multidisciplinary and focus on developing more generalized by interpretable techniques, and explore potential producing valuable insight for decision making. And also, I'm also interested in like making those decisions more customized with respect to different contexts. And teaching, I'm kind of compatible with teaching mathematics, statistics, and data science courses with theory and practice. So that's overall summary of my presentation.